Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day, where we're covering Superboy 14 in the second story, Superboy Goes to School. This story functions on a lot of fallacies and poor logic from characters that should know better, some characters that don't know better. The first illogical conclusion is there is a truancy problem in Smallville because all the teenagers look at Superboy and go, he's not in school. Okay, wait. Several villains in the course of the Superboy comics have assumed that he is a kid at the high school. You would assume the other kids would expect that he's secretly one of the kids at the high school. So if they are somewhat aware of that, then it stands to reason they all understand that he's probably going to school in some way. Though that would also have to be admitting that there is some sort of continuity in Superboy. And Superboy is sort of like The Simpsons. There's not an actual continuity unless something previous is brought up and said episode. If not, everything's just reset to its default. Or at least that's how I define a lot of The Simpsons, I guess, Superboy. And that's actually kind of important. I'll get to that continuity problem in a moment. But this actually kind of reminds me of when I was a substitute teacher. I was a substitute teacher for about 2.5 years. And I was working at a blue ribbon school. And I just so happened to have my cell phone out because I didn't have a watch at the time, and the school, due to AP testing, had turned off the bell system. So there was actually no clock in the room, and I wasn't allowed to use the computer at the school because, well, the principal was a bit of a tyrant. And she would go into classrooms, usually with a checkboard, which really annoyed all the teachers whenever I went into the teacher's lounge. By God, they were complaining about her constantly. At the beginning of the next school year, she wasn't holding a checklist anymore, so I wonder if something had happened there. Anyway, she came in and she completely belittled me. Well, she chewed me out in front of the class as if I was one of the teenagers at this high school, which I found incredibly insulting, telling me that I wasn't allowed to have my cell phone out because this told the kids that they could have their cell phones out. And I kept my mouth shut because I'm a substitute. If I argue, I'm going to be easily fired. But I'm the adult in that classroom. I get to do several, if not a lot of things that the teenagers don't get to do. That's my right as being an adult who's already graduated from high school. But I didn't argue it, but I did still check my phone afterwards. I'm still kind of bitter about this. I wasn't a huge fan of her. She chewed me out later for reading a book while walking around a classroom that was testing in front of the kids again. You can have a problem with me, but you do not chew me out in front of a bunch of kids who already don't have a lot of respect for me because I am the substitute. Anyway, I feel the same way about kids going well, Superboy does it, we can do it. I mean, Superboy does a lot of things you can't do. He kind of has a job with the whole superheroing. But this is also a fallacy in the fact that, once again, this is also a fallacy when it comes to the continuity. If you've been watching this show, and you're one of the 20 viewers I seem to consistently have, goes up and down, but I usually have around 20 people who watch videos, sometimes 80, sometimes over 100. But if you're one of the 20 people who watched this, you might remember that there was a previous story that involved Superboy being truant and him having to take a test in every subject to prove that he doesn't have to go to high school. So this has already been litigated. Superboy doesn't have to go to high school. He's technically graduated because of passing all those tests. But this once again goes into the whole fact that there isn't really a continuity. So that story in the course of this story didn't happen because it's not broad enough. But this has been resolved. And essentially, this does inspire the school specifically, not the school board, to consider doing this. But the history teacher, Mr. Dobson, doesn't like this. He believes that all the kids are equal and there shouldn't be any special exemptions. And in a way, he's right, but this isn't a special exemption. He doesn't need to go to high school. He has all this knowledge to begin with. This is what the previous story already proved. And if there's no reason for him to be in high school because he can't learn anything that they can teach him, he knows that already, then why is he in high school? We make exemptions for wunderkinds all the time. There are kids who are 16 who end up going to Harvard because they've already proven mastery in their school subjects. You only really need to be there if there is something for you to learn. So it's not a special exemption. He has that knowledge. And it's just wasting his time to be in there. Also, he has worlds to save. There might be a meteor coming down. You want him to be stuck taking a history quiz? You could die. So Superboy has to go to school. And after all that's set up, all this story ends up being is him annoying his teachers, kind of proving why this is a problem. So at first, he's meant to write a composition in English every week. So he writes something that seems longer than than a Proust book, which is going to be a problem for the teacher to grade. Though, as memory serves me, whenever we were to write something, we were told we could write more, but the teacher was only going to grade if that's all they asked for. So there's a way out of this. But he constantly is a problem for the teachers, putting in way too much work due to his fantastical powers. And there is a part of that that I kind of love, and it is very special to him in these sort of set pieces. I wouldn't call them set pieces; they're just feats he accomplishes to a point that they still won't let him out. They think they can outsmart him somehow, which is a problem because he is actually smarter than them. That's it's a fallacy they're working with. They think they can outsmart him. So they give him two impossible tasks, promising him his diploma if he succeeds in these. And of course he does. He literally moves planetary objects to create a eclipse, which wasn't supposed to happen for another 4 years. So he would have to graduate to accomplish this assignment. And that's what finally breaks the history teacher. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you the diploma. You can leave. I still don't feel like this solves the main problem. The kids going, well, Superboy's not in school. We don't have to be in school. Even if you give him the diploma. But I had enough fun with it. That's the thing. Every little thing he does to the teachers is fun. It all messes with their sort of belief that he should be there, which is fundamentally wrong. He proves it almost every single second he's in the classroom that he shouldn't be in the classroom. And hey, that was the conflict of the story. Superboy shouldn't be in school because he has that knowledge set already. Okay, that is it from Superboy issue 14. Superboy Goes to School. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when a new video goes up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Friday it's Bat Friday. We cover a Batman story and either Detective Comics or Batman. And until next time, let's ponder the question, whatever did happen to the boy of tomorrow? They should have given him the journalism class. That's harder to just immediately graduate from. There's no like test out of it. You have to write well. And sometimes just being really good and smart about things doesn't mean you can write well. Okay, have a great day.